F. Scott Fitzgerald published The Great Gatsby in 1925. The title is fitting because the story is centered around the mysterious and seemingly larger-than-life Jay Gatsby. Throughout the story, the narrator goes back in time to discuss and analyze the starting point of several things and the true identity of the main characters. Have you ever looked at the cover of a book to determine whether or not you wanted to read it? A lot of people take this into account when they select reading material. Others read the first line or two to make this decision. The first line of any book is important because it often sets the tone for the story. It usually captures the reader's attention by offering a hint of the story that will be explored in detail later on. This is true for The Great Gatsby. The first line reads, "In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told me, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had." In this case, it is important to consider the first two lines as they go hand in hand. From the beginning, we are introduced to the narrator. We later find out that his name is Nick Carraway. We know that he is the one who is going to tell this story to us, and that we will learn of the characters and events primarily from his perspective. In the first line, we learn the following things. The narrator, Nick, is thinking back on his life. This is evident in his choice of words, younger years. He does not specify a particular time in his youth, but the reader might guess adolescence, when a father would try to instill wisdom in his son. The narrator considers his father to be wise and respects him. The use of the word vulnerable gives the sense that the narrator paid close attention to the instructions of his elders, particularly his father. This word also suggests that the narrator was rather young and impressionable when this piece of advice was given. The narrator has had certain life events that have challenged his thinking and perspective. The idea that the narrator has been turning this information over in his mind suggests that he has recently given it much thought and has tried to look at it in different ways. His experiences have made him reconsider this piece of advice. The narrator identifies with some sort of privilege. The advice he is given refers to the advantages and opportunities he has had. The reader is not informed as to whether these advantages have to do with social status, finances, education, talent, or anything similar. What we can guess is that his life is in a somewhat better state than most others. The narrator's father wants to teach his son not to be critical of others. The father acknowledges that his son will encounter a variety of people and experiences during his lifetime, and may be tempted to criticize them, but he warns him to think carefully first, and to keep an open mind. Tone refers to the way the author tells the story. In The Great Gatsby, the tone of these first couple lines are conversational and reflective. Nick Carraway is reminiscing about the past, and the story he is about to tell us. This sets the tone for the novel, hinting that we are going back in time. Nick's delivery is not flowery, but instead quite direct. The turning over of things in his mind suggests that he is a contemplative, questioning man, and will probably be indecisive about some of the events that happen in the novel. Foreshadowing in literature refers to words, phrases, and events that give the reader a sense of what is going to happen later in the story. In the first line, the narrator's reminiscing on his younger years tells the reader he is likely going to tell a story about past events. The advice given by his father foreshadows that Nick is going to meet characters who are very different from him, and have had different backgrounds and histories. It makes us wonder what type of advantages the narrator has had, and what will be different about the other characters. Will they have less morals, less opportunities, less money? There is also foreshadowing in the warning to be careful about criticizing others. This informs the reader that these other characters will have personality traits and behaviors that the narrator may look upon with distaste or scorn. The Great Gatsby is a classic novel written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. It was published in 1925 and has had several film adaptations. The first line of the novel is very significant because it sets the tone for the story and foreshadows what will happen later on. In the first line, the narrator, Nick Carraway, establishes that he is looking back on his youth and thinking about a piece of advice his father gave him. His father warns him against being critical of others and reminds him that they may not have had the advantages that he has had.